Today, we are going to talk about how we react to what we think our vision is and how we edit and obstruct our truth. So, pretty cool topic. So, I've got an interesting question to ask you today, but I don't want you to answer it right away. I would like for you to just kind of ponder it for a minute. So, my question is, what would you do if money were no object? And the one thing you're not allowed to do is give the money away. I'll add that in. So if you had as much money as you could possibly spend on yourself, what is it that you would do with your time? What would you create? So I want you to just sit with it for a minute. Don't answer it quite yet, but just notice what comes up for you. It's actually a very important question. So what's coming up for you guys when you think about that? You know, what would I do? What would I be? What would I have if I had unlimited money and I wasn't giving it away? How would I use it in my life? If I could only spend it on things for me to enjoy. When you take money out of the equation, what would you do with your life force energy? So who finds this a bit of a tough question? See, life is a game of action, right? It's an action sport. It's about creating, it's about doing, it's about being. So we must act. But intention comes before action. So we must get clear on our most significant intentions, right? Significant to us. I don't mean significant to the world. There's no judging or rating here. It's just what would be most impactful to you and your experience of life. Right, Kim? So notice that it already, just the thought of it feels excessive. Just notice that judgment. Yeah, it is difficult. Right. Yeah, so this question, you know, what would you do with your time, with your life's energy, if there were no limits, is massively relevant and so profound. And, you know, we also have to ask ourselves, how is this answer different to where we are now? Because one of the easiest ways we block ourselves from even considering half the stuff we'd love is that we place money in the way. Most of us aren't doing what we would do if money were no object. We're not actually going for what we love because we've placed a big looming dollar sign or money sign out in front of us, which starts to obstruct our vision, right? Imagine it like a big cardboard cutout and you just can't see around it. It's there everywhere you look, right there. And another way we block ourselves from our heart's desires is by saying, well, if I did have enough money, I'd just give it away, which is trying to save everyone else and choose for them. Yeah, oh, lots of chat. Oh, let me just scroll back up, see what you're writing. I'll definitely start by purchasing my own large property, lots of space for camping. I've already come up with a wonderful name. Oh, beautiful. I'd love to host events, help people really get over themselves. Nice, get out of that victim perspective. Beautiful. Horses, yeah, it's rivers, waterfalls, nice. Travel the world, exposing my kids to different cultures, making new friends. Nice. I love all these ideas. Nice. I love your ideas. Really start to ask yourself, what would I be doing? What would I do and what would I be? How would I spend my time? That's the real pinnacle. How would I be spending my time and my energy? And I bring this up today because so many of us have lived most of our lives in this idea that we are limited because we don't have enough. And so we need to go for the money or go for the things we need in order to have what we actually want. And in that, sometimes we've lost who we are. We forget our original truth. We stop viewing life from a place of radical freedom because our lives just become about the necessary steps, right? Our truth has become less important than the chasing and the rules and the self-conscious ideas of what you're supposed to do or what's required before you can just enjoy life. But most of us have this idea that if we did have millions and trillions of dollars or pounds or whatever currency, that we'd be able to suddenly solve all our problems. Isn't it true? Who else has done this? I mean, I have. And I start thinking, well, if I had the money, I would just do this, or I could pay for someone to take care of that thing and I wouldn't have to worry about it. So then I'd be free to do what I actually want to do. Then I'd actually have all the options in life, right? As if money is some magical entity that allows people to defy all rules. But if we don't have an excess of money, we often feel trapped by rules, right? So one of our biggest barriers to creative thinking has become money. Yeah, Kim, what's required, what we think is required before we can enjoy life. Yeah, big one for you. Be spending way more time on the water in a gorgeous boat. Spend my time being curious and exploring. Yeah. And just notice how these answers, do they have anything to do with money really? Right? To go on the water in a beautiful boat doesn't have to be an expensive one. To be curious, to have fun, to play with life. Do you really need money to do that? Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's very programmed into us, even with music. Like the song that says, even though we ain't got money, I'm so in love with you, honey. Right? Yeah. Even though we don't have, like, it's this massive limitation to so many people. Yes. Yeah. True. Yeah. COVID showed me that my only excuse of I don't have the time was not really the excuse. Right. It was, a front, like a facade. It was something you used as an excuse to, so that you didn't have to look at the real truth, what lies beneath, right? We often do that. We're actually afraid to see what's really there. So we tell ourselves it's something different. We blame it on something else. And we do often blame it on time, yes, and money. I want you to notice with all these ideas, right? In order to do those things, in order to actually have more than enough, it's probably not as much as you think it would be. You probably don't need as much money as you've been presuming you need. And I want you all to now please feel into it and just notice how it would actually feel to have more than enough. Hey, Deborah, so good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, join in. We're talking about ways we obstruct and edit our truths. And we're talking about how we really place money in the way as a big obstacle for us in our consideration of what we actually want to be doing. We let it get in the way of us just doing what we love. So right now, I would love for everyone to really notice how it would feel if you had more than enough. That was what your meditation was on this morning. Perfect timing. We always get the timing so perfect in this group, don't we? Everything always seems to align. Nice. So how would it feel to have more than enough? Notice how it feels when you think about this. If I had more than enough for myself, how would it feel? And what would I do? If I'm not just focused on giving it all away, when my focus is on my own experience of life, how can I personally get the most out of life? When there's no need to consider money, how would I choose to get the most out of life? Notice what comes up for you and write it down. Yeah, it feels amazing. Be running around laughing and dancing. Yeah, that's gorgeous. And could you do that now? This is what I'm kind of building up to. But notice, how does it feel? Would be overflowing with gratitude and generosity. Yeah. And what would you choose to do? What would you choose to create? What would you create? Yeah. So notice how it would feel to have more than enough, actually doing what you would do if you had more than enough. When you're in the act of creation, in the act of taking something from your imagination and manifesting it in reality, without money being an obstacle. Right? What would I do? What would I be? And how does it feel? Let me know. Let me know what you're getting. Yeah. Nice, Sarah. So you notice you already feel that. You love to share and keep the energy flowing already. Nice. Different question. What would I create? Holy moly, everything and anything. Yeah. So what would you most love to create? Yeah. Knowing you can create everything and anything, but not all at once. We have limitless potential, but we must choose. where to direct our life force energy, our focus. You're giggling. Yeah, nice. It's nice to think about. Yeah, so this feeling, I want you to acknowledge this feeling. You can have it now. You can do, have, and be this now. This is the magnetic moment. This is the only moment you can actually use, the now. And I want to highlight, there's no right way you need to be. There's no correct way. You've all got different words of how you'd feel, right? But this feeling that you have now, yeah, when you tune into this, this is what you must harness if you want to get the most out of your life. Because it's the feeling that you allowed yourself to feel once you took the obstacles and blocks out of the way. You chose this inner state of being once you gave yourself the permission to, right? When you take the big blocks out of the way, you're free to feel as you wish to. So when you take that consideration out of the way that you need more of anything, no, you've got more than enough. Now, how do you choose to feel? Now there's no need for anything. There's just choice. There's just freedom. So this is you. And you allow yourself to feel that. This is you outside of the box you once created that was limiting your expression. Once you step outside of limits, you can access your highest experience and you can have it now. Okay, yeah, Kim. Can't put my finger on it, but there's something that feels uncomfortable or not okay about having that much abundance. Interesting. Yeah, creating it for someone else makes it feel acceptable. Yes, that's true for a lot of people. Would like to change this feeling of being resistant to this much abundance. Yeah, absolutely. So dig into that, right? Why is it not okay to have that much abundance? What is too much abundance? Abundance just means more than enough. Just notice, really ask yourselves the more intricate questions to kind of dig out what's really there. Yeah. I would definitely create more epic memories with my parents that really fill my memory bank after they're gone. Makes me want to book a flight. Yeah, nice. To go see them, bake cinnamon rolls with mama. Yeah. Yeah. Been taught I should be grateful for what I have. Right. Yeah. Implying that you shouldn't ask for more. That's big for a lot of people. Yeah. So I want to make the point, as you notice these feelings coming up, feelings are not reality. They are real. Okay, I'm not denying that. They're real, but they don't reflect reality itself. Feelings are signals. Your thoughts and feelings, especially emotions, are not a reflection of true reality. Feelings are more just signals. So I want you to dig out, what are these feelings signaling? If I'm uncomfortable about this thought of abundance, what is that signaling to me? What's underneath that feeling, right? There'll be a belief underneath there, or a rule. So when you do allow yourself to really feel how it would feel when you have more than enough, when you really tune into that, what would I be doing? What would I create? What's the greatest experience of life? That feeling that you created, that signals you living purposefully. That feeling you created when you ask those questions, that's you living in your truth, in your purpose. How do I know it's your truth and your purpose? Because I took away the one thing most of us think we have to have before we can just go for it, before we can even choose what we want to choose. Most of us think we have to go for money in order to have this thing over here that we want. We can start to see money as a prerequisite, just like in an addiction structure. Some people get addicted to making money. I need to be receiving or making a lot of money before I can feel this good. I'm not free to feel this way. I'm not allowed to feel this way without bringing in money. I'm not allowed to just have fun unless I've made a bunch of money first, which will inevitably create oscillation. And you'll receive money and it'll feel good temporarily until you start spending or you get an unexpected expense, you know? And for others, money is just a big part of the block that their identity put in the way. So for some people, they'll never feel that way they really truly want to feel, because they've created an identity that says, what I have now is just not enough. And maybe on the end of that, for some of us, for some of you, might be, and I'm not allowed to ask for more. And I should be grateful for what I have. And I should settle for this. So then no matter what your bank account says, you never have that permission to access those feelings, because it doesn't align to the identity. You learned you're always supposed to save, not spend, right? So you're supposed to accumulate something that you're not allowed to use. Notice that, right? Because if you can't use it, what's the point? So just question these beliefs, challenge them, right? So notice I took that block, that condition of having money away in the question I asked. I took the prerequisite of financial security out of the equation. And then I took away the other lie that we tell ourselves, that our job is just to save everybody. Because that's not true. Our purpose is to create our life, not anyone else's. Yeah, I see you. Right. Supposed to save it for the children or grandchildren. Right. Yeah. So it's creating, again, it's creating for someone else, trying to choose for them. So what's this feeling I've asked you to arrive at? It's you in your fullest expression. When you really take money out of the equation, I have more than enough. What would I do? What would I be? What would I create? That's you being who you most desire to be, rather than someone who's just here to make money and or give it away. Because that's not your truth. That's just living in the matrix. Your soul doesn't really care about money. It cares about the answer to that question that asks you, who would you be if there were no limits applied to you? Nothing you must complete before you can choose what you want. No condition you must fulfill. So being and doing that, the real end results, that's what life's about, right? The point here is that when you take away the things that most of us think life's about, and when we remove all the conditions, then we're able to see our truth. Yeah. So let me ask you, is this feeling that you get when you allow yourself to feel it, is that a place you want to live from? Would you like to just live that way? And isn't that just the ultimate, right? To live from a place of being your fullest expression, living your highest truth, stepping into embodying who you most want to be. And isn't it the most important thing? But it's interesting. It's interesting and somewhat annoying how easily we can get ourselves lost from that. And all these things that you're typing into me, these are perfect examples of how we get lost from that truth. Well, the things we've learned, the things we've accepted that take us away from it, right? Yeah. Been looking at it like there's a finite amount of money. Like if I make a mistake with what I spend it on, it will be wasted, right? So I'm not allowed to get it wrong, not allowed to make a mistake. There's not enough, very much a scarcity structure. And it will mean you're not allowed to just go for things because you're not allowed to make that mistake. Notice how that will stop you from taking action. Right. Right. Grandmother, yeah, never allowed to spend anything on fun for herself, always terrified of running out. Right. Never even saw the ocean in spite of the fact you lived less than 1 mile from the beach in Florida. And you begged her to come visit, offered to pay for her. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Powerful stuff. Really. Yeah. So here's another important question. Compared to what you would do and what you would feel if money were no object. How does life feel now? Let's get some contrast. How does life feel now? What is the feeling you have that's different? Like, what's your current reality compared to that? Let me know in the chat box. What's it like now? Really just honoring the truth, right? What is it truthfully like now? Yeah, Sarah. The truth that I've experienced is that there is always more than enough to create the memories and experiences that have the most value. Precisely. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yes. So now feels insecure. It could all go away in a blink. Right. Yeah. So it's so much fear of loss and expectation. Yeah. That something could just take it away. Ask yourself what's beneath that. What is that about, this feeling? It could all go away in a blink. Maybe ask yourself, does it originate anywhere in your timeline, perhaps from when you were younger? Was there an event that taught you that? Yeah, money exists. Some I have, some I had, some I will have. It's been a lifetime of getting to that flow. Yeah, Dixie, I know that you're very masterful when it comes to abundance. You can learn a lot from you. Yeah, so really notice what stops you from doing and being and living from that place that you felt when money was no object. What stops you from doing that? The fun, the adventure, the joy, the gratitude, the peace, the passion, the travel, all these things, what stops you? The making of memories. What stops you from just living your truth and purpose? What's in the way? What beliefs? Ask yourself, what beliefs? Afraid of losing or wasting it? But you're experiencing the same thing now by not having it, right? Yeah, if you stop yourself from ever having it in the first place, you've just created the end result you were fearing in the present. The origination of all this for me is generational, right? Grandparents that lived through the Depression, and it did go all the way, right? Yeah, good, really great awareness. Lived both sides of the coin, rich then poor, now you're in the middle, it's comfortable, right? So ask yourself, it may be comfortable. Is it where you choose to stay? Comfortable just means it's been familiar, usually. Yeah, it's been familiar, it's what I've known. But just because you've known something doesn't mean that it's the way you would choose. Yeah, nice, imagining it like the tides coming in, coming out. Yeah, nice. What can still stop you is the old, did you bring enough for everyone, right? That kind of responsibility, or I can't just have enough for me. It's got to be more than that. I've got to do it for everyone else too. Yeah. So notice what beliefs are there. Probably there's a belief that you need money, right? A belief, not the truth, just a belief. I need money before I can ... Right, Kim, I was doing all the travel and had the money and then lost it by something that fell out of my control, even though it wasn't. So I gave up control because I didn't want to be responsible for losing more. Big awareness for me. Yeah, I've been blaming someone else for feeling like this. Right. Yeah. Deep stuff. Yeah, keep digging out that awareness. Yeah. Yeah, money. See, when we put money in the way, like you say, you want more money in order to start creating those wild creations. See, money is one option, right? But equally, perhaps it's just a relationship, right? Maybe it's a relationship that needs to or could come next on the way to creating those wild creations, right? Maybe it's not actually the money, right? It could just be that the money would give us other people who would help us. But maybe a relationship is what could do the same, right? Wanting to travel, it could just be that there's a job opportunity that would allow you to travel without even paying for it, right? One realization I remember having when speaking with Dixie was, living an abundant life. Maybe it's not about creating an abundance of money yourself. Maybe you could provide a service to someone who, owns and runs a massive paradise resort that you'd love to live in. And in exchange for your services, maybe instead of paying you money, they would let you stay, free, all inclusive. Maybe there's that kind of relationship that you could create and be living an abundant life without money even being in the equation. Maybe there are so many things that are possible. Yeah, or both, money and other things. Oh, just had a job offer this week that includes traveling to Hawaii from December to April. Right. I'm literally describing the job offer that you're considering. Interesting. Perfect. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There might be an exchange where you receive money and get to live somewhere. Yeah. And that's definitely true because I've done that. See, yeah. See, to take an example, a lot of people will say, I really want financial freedom. But then you can ask, okay, so what would you do if you had that? And they might say, oh, I'd sit on a beach and I'd relax and I'd chill out. But then you can ask, okay, so why don't you do that now? And they'll come out with a massive list of all these things they would need to do before they're allowed to just sit on the beach and enjoy it. Not realizing that it's actually quite simple to move to a place by the beach and find a job that either allows you to rent a place or has accommodation included. And then you'd immediately be able to spend at least an hour or so every day lying on the beach, watching the sunrise or watching the sunset, doing exactly what they said they would most want to do. There are a lot of options when it comes to living where you want to live. By the beach, in the mountains, in the snow, in the jungle. I know because I've done it. To enjoy living in a beautiful place that supports activities that you want to do, that you love, you don't actually need that much money. People find ways to travel without starting with any money at all. And then you hear the stories they've created, memories they've created, and you realize they've lived more in a few months than a lot of people do in their lives. I just want us to really open our minds to the fact that it is far more possible to create what we love than we allow ourselves to imagine. So I want to challenge all of these ideas that we have accepted that's limiting our vision. Right? The truth is we can have it far more easily than we're telling ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm really hitting home for you that it's not about the money. Yeah. Yeah. When people say it's about the money, many times it's not even about the money at all. Or it's just part of an underlying structure. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, travel's a big one. On the topic of travel, a lot of people say they want to travel, but they immediately think, oh, but the only way to viably do that is to set up an online business so I can work from everywhere, anywhere. Or, I need to have a passive income so that I don't have to work anymore. Or I would need to save up this much before I can even make a start. That's one where this structure becomes very obvious when people talk about traveling. I have to do this, or I need this first. All these prerequisites, and they're just not the truth. Remember, as Dixie says, the person with the most options has the most power to create. But we often lock onto one route as if it's the only option, the only way we can reach the goal. So then the things we're chasing aren't even what we're after. I guarantee that superconscious can tell you a bunch of different ways to get where you want to go, but your self-conscious simply has not been aware of. That's why it's so important to use our full superconscious awareness, not just rely on our cognitive thinking mind or our subconscious bias. Yeah. So is this all making sense? Is anyone getting a bit challenged by all these concepts and thoughts and new perspectives? It's just not as difficult to have what we want as we usually make it. We make up so many barriers in the way when it can be so simple. We overcomplicate it. We often instruct ourselves, it's difficult to create what I desire. Right? We've created it to be difficult. So here's a key premise. Most of the things that we think we have to do or be or have in order to truly have what we want are just us making up things to protect ourselves from actually living it and thriving. Because on some level, we have a belief that that's not actually allowed or possible, or it's not for me. Can you feel that? We're making it more difficult than it is. So instead of having life for us, instead we create life to be about all these other things, pretending to ourselves that they are what's necessary in order for us to reach what we actually want. So my challenge to you is, how could you have it now? What could you do or have now? And notice if that's scary, right? It can be scary to think about the idea that you could have it now, right? A lot of people say, I want a relationship that has love and respect and all these things, which is great, so how could you start having it now? Do you love yourself? Do you take yourself out? Do you love on you? Are you loved by yourself? Because you can have that now. You can even have that in friendships. You can have the love and respect and the fun from a friendship. It doesn't need to be romantic before you're allowed to enjoy the other aspects. You can have and enjoy a lot of the aspects you desire right now. Hear this. You don't have to wait until it's all perfect and all exactly as you imagined before you start having it. There are aspects of every choice that you can have right now, even if it's just the inner experience. But often we can already have a lot of the outer experiences too. Maybe just in little ways, but ways that align to the end result already. Yeah, Dixie, we loved ourselves when we were born. It's our original setting. Absolutely. We must realize we can have it. I tell you, I stopped surfing, I stopped dancing, I stopped going out. I stopped my whole life because I hated my body and despised how I looked. I stopped expressing myself with clothing and jewelry. I was really withholding from myself because I didn't fit into my favorite clothes, right? And I refused to buy bigger ones, right? I decided if I wasn't a size 6, which is a 2 in the US, I know most of you are in the US, then I couldn't have nice clothes. I had this rule. It was all or nothing. I was either the perfect size and could be me, or I wasn't the size and I wasn't allowed to be me. It was a rule I'd made up. Yeah, some of you noticing you do that too, right? See, my mind had made it up that trying to express myself when my body wasn't how I wanted it to be would be some sort of betrayal to myself. I can't be halfway there. I can't have some of my choice. I can't have anything until I have everything. So I was trying to create a body I enjoy whilst refusing to enjoy my body because it wasn't perfect yet. It wasn't good enough yet. And I had to realize it wasn't about waiting until I looked different to start living. It was about living now, pouring more love into my life now. And then the body I loved would be far easier to create because everything informs everything. Refusing one aspect of my choice was instructing my consciousness in a way that meant I may as well be refusing the whole choice. See, in every moment I had a decision, I had a choice. I could refuse to allow myself any part of my choice, my end result, or in an instant, I could give myself permission to feel my end result on the inside. And see, if I were aligned internally, then my body chemistry would change and my actions would naturally start to shift into alignment, and I wouldn't be putting life itself on hold. Once I truly started choosing to have it now, that's when things finally shifted and started gaining momentum and snowballing. We must give ourselves permission to have it now. Start doing it, being it, feeling it now. When you're already living it internally, then you become a magnet for it. That's the magnetic moment. If you're truly living it internally, then you're not shying away from the little things that you can do right now that are actually aligned to the big goal. This making sense? So ask yourself, how can I be doing it now? That thing I said I would do if money were no consideration, no object, I had no limitations there. That thing you said you'd be doing, how can you start doing that now? How can you start being that person now? We get ourselves distracted by things we believe we must do. But just remember, I can have it now. Write it down. I can have it now. There is no thing you can't have now. You can have health now. You can love on your body now. You can have love now. You can have abundance now. You can have riches now. You can have fulfillment and satisfaction now. You can have it now. Yes, you've noticed so much oscillation with this, right? Yeah. Yeah, just got to shift the structure. I really love what Chris Duncan says. Now stands for no opportunity wasted. So feel it now. Don't waste the present moment. Don't wait to have it. Start having it now. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Just remember, the goal will not change you. You can be a stressed out millionaire and a stressed out broke person. You're the same person. You turn up at the end result the same. The money doesn't change you. The end result never changes you. You always find a way to recreate yourself. Sometimes we just think we need to have some external cue or permission, but you can just choose to recreate yourself now. Don't wait. Nothing else truly has the power to give you permission for anything. That power lies within yourself. It's your choice. So why not choose to enjoy now, just like you say you'll enjoy the end result? Enjoy it now and still choose to create. This is so big. I don't choose what I want because I'm afraid someone I share my life with will disapprove or be upset by my choice, right? Started with my parents, now my husband, so I don't create the money and I don't have to deal with what will happen if I have it and choose for me, right? Yeah, that's big. Such incredible awareness. Well done. You guys are having awesome awareness. So remember this, you are in charge of your experience of life and you can have it right now. So this has been a lot to consider, but just really ask yourself these few questions. You know, why am I putting off life? How could I have it now? Why have I decided to make it hard? Really big questions. I'm really getting it into your superconscious right now as we prep for the recode. And, you know, a big point I do want to make is one of the best things in life is actually not having something and then creating it. It's one of the best things in life to manifest something. At the end of the day, if it were just given to you, you're missing out on creation. And that's the purpose of our physical existence. So how grateful can you be about not having it right now? Tough question. Because this way, you have the opportunity to create it. Like, it'd be nice if it were just here, but how satisfying would it really be if everything was already present? Never anything to do. Life's about creating. And it's really powerful to appreciate that and just be on the journey. It's a big thing to honor that you can actually choose to feel good along the whole journey. You can choose that. I'm going to enjoy creating this.